Welcome to Storytime with Tallulah. Today's reading comes from r/AmITheA. Our first story is titled, Am I the A-hole for telling my wife it's not cute for her to encourage our teenage daughter to expect her boyfriend to pay for everything in their relationship? Wife and I have been married 18 years. We have our 16-year-old daughter who has been dating a slightly shy/awkward young man for around 3 to 4 months now. He seems very nervous around my daughter and has admitted in a passing comment here and there to my wife and I that he can't believe she agreed to date him and he thinks she's way out of his league. He seems very respectful, just shy. My wife is usually an independent, awesome woman, and her ideals align closely with mine, particularly in terms of feminism and equality. We have both striven to raise our daughter to be as independent and capable as possible. Since my daughter has been dating this kid, my wife has changed considerably and has given our daughter advice that has left me with raised brows more than once. Some of the advice I've heard my wife give is, oh, it's cute for boys to pay for everything, especially in your first relationship, or, oh honey, don't worry about that, he can pay for you. If he really liked you, he would, and similar. I've tried to balance this out by telling my daughter straight away, two people in a partnership should be contributing equally. And my personal favorite, if someone asks if they can take you out to dinner, it's reasonable to expect them to pay, but if someone asks you to grab dinner with them, it's reasonable to split the payment. I figured that would be an easy way for a young person to understand the difference. However, I've noticed my daughter becoming more and more entitled with her boyfriend's money. They haven't been anywhere obviously since we're home, but the way she talks about him, oh, I'll just ask him to pay for X, etc., leaves a bad taste in my mouth. She's also flippantly bragged/mentioned that she gets him to buy gift cards for her, etc., by mentioning her mother's advice, i.e., if you really liked me, you'd pay for X. I spoke to my wife privately and told her my concerns. She insists it's a rite of passage for girls, and it's cute that she should feel a guy is completely spoiling her. I told her that it's not cute for her to be thinking it's acceptable to view relationships as personal ATMs, and my wife became very angry with me and is now calling me an a-hole with a lot of hostility. No, I think it's okay for a guy to pay for stuff, but obviously I think what she's teaching your daughter is very toxic. That you shouldn't go in expecting anything. You're not entitled to anything. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think you're an a-hole for that. I think that taking advantage of the guy just because he's shy and thinks that she's out of his league, therefore he feels like he has to pay for the relationship, that's not a good standard to set at all. No, it's totally unhealthy. Our next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my boyfriend that his masculinity was fragile after he refused to buy me pads? Okay, throwaway because my boyfriend knows my other account. I, a 23-year-old female, moved in with my boyfriend, a 24-year-old male of 2 years, a couple months ago. We haven't had any problems before this argument. Things have been going pretty well. Anyways, a couple days ago, I got my period. It came early and I had ran out of pads. I couldn't leave to buy some because I bled pretty heavily and I would have bled through my pants. So I asked my boyfriend if he could buy pads for me from the drugstore because it was late. He immediately said no. I was shocked because I wasn't really expecting that. I asked him why. He said that he didn't want the cashier to see him buying pads. At this point, I started laughing because that was hilarious. He wasn't joking though. He just glared at me. I told him that the cashier would obviously know it wasn't for him. Plus, the cashier would definitely not care what he was buying. He still refused. I told him that he could go to the self-checkout machine if he was so insecure, but he said that he didn't want anyone to see him with the pads because they'd think he was a transgender. I told him that he was childish and that his masculinity was really fragile if he couldn't even buy pads for his own girlfriend. He got mad and went out. I had to bunch up toilet paper as a makeshift pad, wear black pants and a long cardigan, and go buy the pads myself. My boyfriend has been ignoring me ever since. I've been thinking that maybe I might have pushed it too far. So am I the a-hole for telling my boyfriend that his masculinity was fragile after he refused to buy pads for me? Edit. Wow, thank you for all your replies. I'm definitely going to have a serious talk with my boyfriend in the morning about this, and we'll see how it goes. Update. First off, thank you for all your awards, replies, and stories. They all mean so much to me. I confronted my boyfriend an hour ago. We sat down together and I told him that I didn't like how he acted about buying me pads for me. He said that he didn't feel like he had to and that I could have held it in and drove to the drugstore to get the pads myself. I told him that you can't hold in menstrual blood, but he insisted that I could have done it for a few minutes and that it wouldn't be a big deal. We went back and forth over this, so I just dropped it. I asked him, like most of you mentioned, what would happen when we have kids and he'd have to take care of me and buy me nipple cream, take me to the washroom, etc. He said that I would not need those things because I should be able to do them on my own after giving birth. He said that there wasn't anything hard about using the bathroom and the only reason I'd need help is if I was a cripple. Then I asked him about the transgender comment. He said that he didn't understand why people would want to change the gender they were born in. That basically cemented everything for me. I felt completely betrayed and humiliated. I can't believe I spent 2 years of my life with a guy who holds these views, and I can't believe I was too oblivious to it. I just feel so dumb. I told him that we need to break up. He cussed at me and told me that I was exaggerating and that I was being a B. I told him that I would send him my half of this month's rent. We lived together, but it was his apartment, so we would split the bill. Then I packed my bags and drove to my parents' house without saying another word. I'm gonna be staying with my parents until I sort myself out. I'm feeling really down right now because I really did love him, but I also feel relieved. Again, thank you all for helping me out and sending me encouraging messages. I appreciate it all. That's a very... Okay. Should he have overreacted for buying you pads? No. Is buying pads a bad thing, especially if you're a guy? No. Should he get over that? Yes. Should he be concerned people think he's transgender for buying pads? Absolutely not. That's ridiculous. But at the same time, there are certain ways that people are raised where they think that buying tampons or pads or anything like that is considered embarrassing. So I think it would be... Obviously, he hasn't, I don't know. I think it's really immature to not buy the pads and to feel so self-conscious about it. But obviously, he's bothered by it and there is an insecurity there. And for you to rub it in, it's going to make it worse. Not saying he's right, but it will make it worse and it's going to flare up. Sitting down and talking to him, I think was a good idea. Pressing the issue about the transgender thing, I think that's a conversation to have and not, I mean, the fact that you would just break up over that is kind of ridiculous, I think. People can feel the way they feel, and if you feel like it's worth salvaging the relationship, then you should have a deep philosophical talk about ideals and what you believe in and why you think he's right and why he's wrong. And some things are okay to disagree on. I think him not getting the pads for you and then you breaking up over it because of the transgender thing, I don't know. That to me seems like a very immature relationship, and it's probably better that it ended anyways and that you can all go find people that you'll be happier with. All right, our next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for correcting my daughter's teacher about her name? My 7-year-old daughter is doing virtual school in our living room recently. I heard her teachers address a girl named Kelly a few times, which stuck out to me because my daughter's class is only about 15 kids and I know them all by this point in the year. A couple times more and I realized she was calling my daughter Kelly. My daughter's name is Keely, pronounced Keely. So after school was over, I asked her if that had been happening all year in this teacher's class, and she said it had, and it really annoyed her. I asked her why she hadn't corrected the teacher if it annoyed her so much, and she said she had repeatedly at the beginning of the year, but the teacher kept calling her Kelly, so eventually she gave up on reminding her. I sent the teacher a quick email explaining the misunderstanding, but got no response. This teacher teaches a special subject, think music, gym, art, or language, not just one grade level, so my daughter will be in her classes for the next several years, so we couldn't just wait it out. And how moments like these are handled now will set the stage for how my kid deals with similar situations on her own in the working world. I encouraged my daughter to come to class early or stay late here again, thinking maybe she hadn't heard or understood her last time, so a quiet one-on-one would be better. She got to the class early and she told her very politely that her name was Keely, like really, instead of Kelly, like jelly, and that people often get it confused, so she just wanted to clarify. So class starts and sure enough, she gets called Kelly again almost immediately. So there's only so much self-advocation a 7-year-old can be expected to do. I just walked over and said, "Hi, this is Keely's dad. Her name, not Kelly, it's Keely. Hard E. Sorry for any confusion." A few hours later, I had an email in my inbox inviting my wife and I to a parent-teacher conference with the vice principal. The long and short of the meeting ended up being the school feels that while the teacher probably should have learned her name, that the real problem is she feels I challenged her authority by correcting her in class, and that the names were similar enough for it to not have warranted such drastic action. That surprised me. I couldn't believe a meeting was necessary, let alone that it cast blame on us. I can't tell if I'm being that annoying my kid matters most parent that my grandmother, the school teacher, always complained about, or if the teacher should just learn her dang name because that's a basic part of her job. Am I the a-hole? Absolutely not! your daughter reminded her time and time again. You sent an email. You had your daughter politely ask her, and then she refused to do it. That teacher, no, you're not the a-hole in this situation. She had plenty of chances, and you were still polite about it the entire time. It's absurd that they would have a parent-teacher meeting with the vice principal over that, and then you guys would be blamed for that. No, that's time to go to the superintendent. Our next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for kicking my boyfriend's parents out of our apartment after his mom called me a bee? Back in March, his parents decided they wanted to come wait quarantine out at our apartment. For starters, they never asked. His mother called and told me that they were on their way and to prepare our spare bedroom for them. I was already apprehensive about them staying with us because his parents have always been extremely rude to me. They are overly critical of everything I say and do. They are massive control freaks who feel entitled to always be in charge, so right off the bat, things are miserable. They verbally abuse me daily, tell me what I can and can't do in my own apartment, and overall, just the worst. Out of everything, the air conditioning caused the biggest debacle. Where I live, it has been 85 to 90 almost every day. I normally keep my air on 70, but when they started complaining, I turned the air up to 75. This is already a little toasty for me, but I was willing to be a little hot to try to keep the peace. This was not good enough for them. They don't want the air on, period. They want the heat on, and they turn it on every single opportunity they get. I wake up in the middle of the night covered in sweat. I have told them to stop countless times. Yesterday, I finally cracked. I put about 10 pieces of duct tape over the thermostat with a note attached that said, "Do not touch the thermostat while I am at work." 6 p.m., I walk into my apartment and I'm automatically hit by a hotter and more humid heat than it is outside. Duct tape and note have been torn off the thermostat and they have the heat on 98 effing degrees. I go into the guest room and say, "Why could you not follow the simple instruction of do not touch the thermostat? This is my home. I am tired of you saying rude things to me. I am tired of you treating me like a child and creating your own rules for my apartment. You either need to be respectful towards me and learn to accept my boundaries or go back to your own house." His mother said, and I disdainfully quote, "You have no right to barge in here without knocking. That was not only an invasion of privacy, but you need to take the attitude out of your tone. I've dealt with much bigger bees than you before." She went on for 30 minutes and I just tuned her out. When she was done talking, I told her to get out. Now my boyfriend is angry with me because I couldn't just let them have their way. He wants me to call his mom and apologize, but I don't think I should have to. I may have been rude to her, but it was only because I've spent the past 2 months dealing with her abuse and trying to politely ask her to stop treating me that way. I got tired of politely asking someone to stop treating me like crap in my own home in which I was letting them live in for free. I also got tired of my boyfriend refusing to defend me and allowing her to say and do whatever she wanted. I am trying to understand their perspective, although it just doesn't seem reasonable to me. If Reddit determines I am the a-hole, I will call and apologize. You are not the a-hole. They came over unannounced. That's the invasion of privacy. They came over. Your boyfriend was obviously raised by these people, so he understands it and he learned to cope with it, right? To him, this is normal. To you, this is like atrocious. This is obscene, right? It's absurd that someone could just come over to your house uninvited, move in, demand and feel entitled to your spare bedroom, have it made for them, and then don't follow any rules and try and control you in your own place. I'm sorry, you're not the a-hole here. They don't deserve to be there. And your boyfriend needs to learn to stand up for it because that's just not right. What they did is not right. That's just, like, if you think about morals, they're not in the right here. There's no world or reality or universe or dimension that they are correct in this situation. Well, that's it for today. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, please like it. If you enjoy these types of videos, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit that bell for notifications so you know when more videos come out. If you'd like to join our Discord community, we have an awesome group of people there. The link for that's in the description below, along with all of my other social media links if you'd like to follow me on different places on the internet. Hope you all are staying safe out there in these crazy times, and with that being said, we'll see you next time.